Hello everybody, this is Brian Kelly and welcome back to Talk of the Town. I'm over at Milton Library and we're here with Kathy Doyle. Kathy Doyle is with Sustainable Milton, and what are we doing here today, Kathy?
Well, Brian, we are going to learn how to cut our carbon footprint and save money on energy today.
And how are we going to cut our carbon footprint?
There are lots of tools. We're using a book by an author by the name of David Gershon called Low Carbon Diet, how to, a 30-day plan to cut your carbon footprint by 5,000 pounds.
In 30 days?
We're not going to do it in 30 days because that would require 4 meetings in 30 days and no one has time for that. We're going to do it in 6 months, which is just fine. We're going to have 4 one-hour meetings. We're going to learn about how to calculate your carbon footprint today at the first meeting, and then we're going to come up with an action plan out of the 24 steps that are in this book of things you can do to cut your carbon footprint and lower your energy bills. We're all going to pick some that our families are.
Wait a minute, we're going to save money? Is that what we're talking about too?
Yes, we're going to save lots.
I'm interested. I save some money? Okay. I don't know that carbon stuff, but I like to save money.
That's a good point. And the typical family saves between, I guess the low was $450 a year.
A month?
Year. And a high of about $850 a year.
All right, so $850 for 4 meetings at an hour?
Yeah,
that's not bad.
That's a good return on your hour.
How long are the meetings?
1 hour to 1.5 hours.
Okay, I just want to make sure the return on investment was good.
Yes, nothing longer than that. We understand that everybody's really busy. This is a plan that we want to help people share their experiences also. What worked in my home, what didn't work, what are some neat things I learned, learn about the state incentives that are out there to help pay for some of the energy improvements that you can do in your home, all kinds of things that even those of us who are involved in Sustainable Milton and try to be really, really green don't always know, and we share with each other some great ideas at every meeting. So I'm always learning about new things that others are doing to help save energy, and I'm very interested in sharing that knowledge and learning more.
Well, we're ready to go.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So again, tell me, there's a group of people over here at the library right now, and they all have these books, there's some laptops and some paperwork. So how are you going to show them how to cut that? Well, how do we get here? What's going on?
Okay, well, Sustainable Milton is active in town trying to help people in the town understand how to live more sustainably if they're interested, and everybody seems to be interested these days, and what kinds of things other people in town are doing to be greener, to live greener. And this is one of the 7 or 8 programs that we've done in the last year and a half. One of them, some of you may have attended our movies. We have movie nights, and we've shown Food Inc. and Fresh and Kilowatt Hours, among others. Those are all movies that help you understand what's going on with the rest of the world and how people are becoming greener every day. So that's what we're looking to do, and we're looking to help people understand some of the things that those of us in town have done already. I happen to have cut...
What have you done? What have you done? Tell the folks what you've done, Kathy.
I happen to have cut my carbon footprint and saved lots of money over these last 4 years in a number of different ways. One is I run my vehicle, and so does my husband, run his vehicle on waste vegetable oil. Another member of Sustainable Milton also does that.
Don't follow her in traffic, though. She smells like Burger King.
We collect waste oil from restaurants, and
which restaurant? No,
we filter it, and then we pour it into a tank in our cars that allow us to switch over to run on waste vegetable oil when the car reaches the engine reaches a certain temperature, and then turn it off before you purge the gas lines before you turn your car off, so that you don't ever start or stop on regular grease, but you can drive on grease as soon as your car hits a certain temperature. So we drive our car on waste vegetable oil and save a lot on gas. Does
the restaurant charge you for the oil?
No, most don't. There is one that has a very high volume that if we want it, we can buy it at a small price.
And you have some kind of a special adapter that you put in.
It's a conversion.
You have a diesel engine, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a diesel engine,
and there was a conversion kit necessary to make the car run on waste vegetable oil. But there is not, if you want to run strictly on biodiesel, there's a biodiesel gas station in Hyde Park, not too far from us, and I'll get the information for
those folks
who
at home
interested. But yeah, you can buy biodiesel, which runs on a regular diesel tank, no conversion necessary. So you can put biodiesel in your car. So that's another way to be green. A third way is we produce. For 11 out of the 12 months of the year, we produce all the electricity that our home needs with photovoltaic PV, solar PV on our roof.
You're unbelievable.
So we're able to, we have enough roof space, fortunately, and the right location to be able to collect up those rays from the sun.
Did you pick the house for that reason?
Not exactly. In fact, I would have built a completely different house today than I did in 2002, because then I didn't really know much at all about energy, and now I know a lot more. So just certain things that we would have done differently. But in the meanwhile, we're doing our best to fix that. So
Can't wait to hear how much she spends on energy every year.
well, we paid it forward. Let's just say that.
There you go. You made an investment into the future.
That's exactly.
She's
what
not moving for a long time, folks.
Yeah. So among other things, those are two of the big things we've done. We've gotten lots of questions from our neighbors and friends in town who say, "Tell me how do you do what you do? How hard is it?" And we tell them all the time, it's not very hard. In fact, it's pretty easy. But there is a lot of trial and error involved in figuring out what works for you and what doesn't work. So we try to shortcut that process for people and share with them the benefit of all of our experience of which CFLs work and which ones didn't for us. All those things that it can drive you crazy. It took us 6 or 7 tries to get the right CFLs, for example. Those are compact fluorescent light bulbs.
The people at home in Milton, they all knew that. I knew what a CFL is. Didn't I have some people get those CFL licenses, don't they? Oh no, that's CDL. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So yes, we get neighbors always asking us, how do you do it? How can I be a little greener? And this effort, the Eco Team Challenge, is just that. It's happening all across the country. In fact, it was initiated out west, and California, Oregon, and Washington State all have many numbers of teams, eco teams, that are sharing with their neighbors. It's usually a 3 to 5 person team that gets together 4 times and helps each other figure out how to save energy and shares that experience with each other, so that you get the benefit of 4 or 5 families' experience, not just your own.
Gotcha.
So that's what we're doing here today, and we're starting. We're very excited.
Okay.
I want to point out there? We have these neat Curry Hardware discount cards, 10% discount for Curry Hardware for all the Eco Team members. So everyone who's here today, if you haven't gotten one, you get one. Anyone who joins at home.
Is it just for eco products?
It's not. No, you can use it for.
I can get like a snowblower with a big engine.
I was kidding. Yeah. We might want to change that, but you could.
Don't do that, folks.
So yes. Curry Hardware has been very generous in giving out these discount cards. In addition, we're running a contest that is for the biggest carbon loser, and the winner of the biggest carbon loser contest is going to be given a package of goods that will include things like discounts on solar thermal hot water heaters, insulation. And there are 2 or 3 other gift certificates. I'll get you more information on that next time.
No expense, trip to Hawaii or anything?
Not yet, okay. No. And someone said, "Is there an electric car as a prize?" And I said, "I'd love it. I'd love for us to get one, and I'll work on that, but not right now."
And if anyone can help and donate something for the prize, we're interested.
Yes. We did have a kickoff, and we had some really great vendors there who were able to tell their story about what things they have to help people become greener. And we should probably just get started. If you're ready.
Okay. Stay in mind, folks. Oh, go ahead.
So the first thing we're going to do is pull out our bills. And the best way to make the most of a meeting, your first meeting for the Eco Team Challenge, is really to come with your NSTAR, National Grid, oil, automobile travel miles, trash, and water information. And I'll go over all of those individually. But your NSTAR bill, what we're looking for is a record of your past 13 months of kilowatt hours used by NSTAR. The average family uses 850 kilowatt hours a month. So that might give you some reference point in what you're
What's an average family? How many people is that?
4. It's two adults and 2 kids. They didn't say anything about teenagers, so I'm not sure we can maybe adjust that for the teenagers. But, otherwise, 850 is the average. You can figure out where your family is compared to that. And we have some great carbon calculators that will help you also assess where you are on the continuum. Then National Grid is, some of us have gas heat. And so your National Grid bill will want to know how many therms your house uses on a monthly basis, and we'll annualize that. And oil, if you have oil heat, we'll figure out how that converts into carbon footprint. This one can be hard. These next 2 could be hard. Automobile and travel, and also trash. And we'll talk a little bit about that later in the meeting, but those are things that you don't necessarily think about that can be very seriously greened up if you take a little time. And water. Everyone we all have the benefit of having free and readily available water. And sometimes...
I don't know, last time I looked at my water bill, it wasn't free.
This is true, not free, but I guess compared to the rest of the world, we have really great access to a great resource, clean water. And sometimes we don't necessarily do the things that people elsewhere in the world have learned to do to conserve water as a result. So we're looking to try and do that.
You don't have a tin roof that it just goes down into the
No, but I do have a rain barrel, and that's something else we're going to talk about, how we can conserve or harvest the water from our gutters.
I like that, harvest.
Harvest that water. Do you know that it's actually illegal to harvest water in some states in the U.S.?
Would that be like Nevada?
I can't tell you exactly which ones off the top of my head, but there are some laws apparently against harvesting water that is supposed to feed a river. And I remember reading about it. I was just shocked. But here in New England, we are blessed with a great water resource. And so, again, there too, we're going to try to figure out how can we make the most of that and how can we be as green and sustainable as we can with that resource. Okay.
All right. So now what are the teams are going to do? Now the teams are going to start calculating this?
We're going to calculate our carbon footprints, and we're going to use, there are many carbon calculators. J.B. Clancy, who is a member of Sustainable Milton, has been really wonderful in putting together a spreadsheet that we are going to use once we calculate all of our numbers.
Will you make that available on the Sustainable Milton website for folks at home who want to do this on their own?
Yes. I don't know how quickly I can do that, but I will do it within the next, let's say, 2 weeks. Okay. So there's a neat spreadsheet, but in the meanwhile, there is a website that we're going to use today.
Okay.
It's called the Empowerment Institute website. THE Empowerment Institute.
Okay.
Net, thank you. And that's the place we're going to go now to fill in a questionnaire about our home habits. Okay?
Okay.
We're back and we're doing a calculation of a carbon footprint. And I'd like to introduce one of our team members.
Lisa White.
Lisa, thank you so much, and thanks for volunteering to tell everybody about your carbon footprint. Let me first ask, was it how long did it take you to figure out your carbon footprint? You came prepared today.
Yep, I used the Empowerment Institute website. It took about 15 minutes.
Great, really 15 minutes. Yeah. And were you surprised by anything that you learned?
Yes, I think I thought we'd be a little better.
I did too when I did mine, especially on the water side and the trash side. I was very shocked. So there were a number of questions, and it starts with trash, and it goes all the way through your daily or weekly habits to figure out where you might be able to save some carbon or reduce your carbon footprint. Let's start with the first one. How many gallons of garbage do you put out each week? An average garbage can, by the way, holds 32 gallons of garbage. So however many cans you put out, you figure out on a weekly basis. And how many were yours, Lisa?
I said 20 because we don't even put a can out every week, so that was just my best guess.
So the program, again, the empowermentinstitute.net, will calculate what the carbon emissions are associated with 20 gallons of garbage per week. And it says here 2,080 CO2 emissions per year, 2,080 pounds of CO2 emissions per year are associated with 20 gallons of trash per week. Okay. Next was, on average, what is your household kilowatt hour usage per year? And can you just show the folks at home what you did to figure that out, Lisa?
Well, so that's our N-Star bill, right?
Yes.
What was it per year? So is it on the back?
Yes.
So I just added all the kilowatt hours for the last year. They list it by month.
Right.
So I just added them all together.
Good. And be aware that typically your bill has 13 months listed. So you don't want to add another month if you don't have to. So be sure to count only 12 of the 13 months that are listed on your bill. And I see here your average looks like it's somewhere around 570 or so. Oh, 530, which is very low compared to the average family in the U.S., so that's great. So your average kilowatt hour usage was 6,300 per year, which is associated with 8,820 pounds of CO2 per year. Not to mention, here in Milton, we pay a fairly steep price for our kilowatt hours. I think we're at 21 cents all in per kilowatt hour used. So you can save some money by reducing that, obviously. On average, how many therms of natural gas do you use per year? That's the next question.
So
that's on your national grid bill. And again, they give you, I think, 13 months.
Right.
So what did you...
Or maybe even 14. There are two overlapping here. And that was per year. So I added together the, every month and got 1,306.
Which seems very low also. So you seem to be doing really well right now. Now, one thing, for 1,306 therms per year, that energy is associated with 15,280 pounds of CO2. So you can see that gas therms are responsible for lots more CO2 emissions than kilowatt hours. That's one of the things you learn when you're doing this. So let's move to the next question. On average, how many gallons of propane do you use each year?
We don't use any at all.
And how about fuel oil?
We don't use oil because we have natural gas heat.
And on average, how many miles do you put on your primary vehicle per year?
I put 12,000. And I didn't really check that. I just guessed.
Okay. Okay, good. 300 miles a week or 15,000 miles a year is about average in the U.S., just so everybody knows that. And if you have a second car, what is the number of miles that your second car typically drives per year?
I put 5,000 for that.
Okay, great. And do you have a third car?
No, we don't.
Okay, if you have a third car, there's a space for it here too. What is the average? Does anyone have any questions yet? Okay, great. What is the average gas mileage for your primary car? And if you're unsure, by the way, you can go to the EPA website, epa.gov, thank you, epa.gov, and you'll find a place on that site where you can figure out, put your model car in, and it will tell you what your gas mileage is if you forget. So you get 20 miles per gallon, and the average car gets 22 miles per gallon. So that's good, you're close. And then the average gas mileage of your second car is 29 miles per gallon. So you can see you have significant savings, both probably in fuel costs and also in energy there. Mm-hmm. And there is no third car. So we've calculated trash, energy use and automobile fuel. We're going to the next thing. What is the average number of miles that your household travels by air?
I put 2,000, but you know what I didn't know here was whether to include work travel.
That is a debate on this analysis. And in fact, what we have decided for the teams that we're advising in Milton is to know what your work travel is, but not to actually include it in this analysis. Isn't that right, Lori? For work, right. So do your personal travel, because that's what you have control over.
Right.
And then
That's what this is.
Yeah,
so I put
so
2,000.
2,000, okay, great. And I thought I was, just for the folks at home, I was doing really well until I got there. And my husband won a world champion, or won an opportunity to participate in a world championship off-road triathlon in Maui. And we got to go, but it blew that whole category out of the water. Average number of miles that your household travels for vacation, 2,000. And that is one mile is responsible, 1 mile of travel by air is responsible for 1 pound of CO2. So 2,000 miles is 2,000 pounds. Okay? All right. So in the United States, the typical household uses 54,600 pounds of CO2, or produces 54,600 pounds of CO2 a year. And yours is lower than that. Mm-hmm. It is 43,280. So that's great. You're somewhere between where the average U.S. citizen is and where the average German citizen is. The next one down is Germany, and Germany has an average, their population on average produces about 27,700 pounds of CO2 per year. So significantly less, and we want to be closer to the bottom of that scale. Kenya, we have here, the average Kenyan, 400 versus 54,600. 400 pounds of CO2 per year. So based on your current lifestyle, what level are you at on a scale of 5 out of 10?
Out of 5.
5, perfect. Okay, so now it's time to figure out, what is your goal? How many dollars would you like to save, or how many pounds of CO2 do you think you can squeeze out of your daily living? And we're going to go through the book and some exercises to figure that out. Do you have any questions right now after you did this exercise?
Well, I'm sort of curious. I haven't looked through the book, but I'm sort of curious to see what are some of the ways that we can reduce it, because, you know, the 43,000 was lower than average, and yet we're only out of 5 out of 10, and 10 is the best. So it looks like we can make a lot of improvements. I'm just not sure exactly where those are going to come from.
And that's why you're here.
Yeah, exactly.
Fabulous. Okay, so we'll move on to the next step.
Kathy and Lisa, I'm here with Laurie Webster. Laurie, now you use oil in your house because Lisa didn't use oil.
Right.
She used gas heat.
Right.
Okay, so now does oil use up more carbon?
Yes.
Is it worse on the environment than gas?
I'm learning that oil is less efficient than gas. I used, in 2009, 1,076 gallons of oil in 1 year. And how many? And that.
How big a house do you have?
It's not a big house. It's a small house. It's under 1,600 square feet of heated space. But I have an old boiler, and my husband and I have been looking at each other saying, "Oh, that boiler."
Well, it's funny because we replaced our boiler 3 or 4 years ago, and we got a 90% efficient system. So we have forced hot water.
Uh-huh.
We don't keep the heat up high, I want you to know. My wife's Canadian. She's got the windows open. I went to bed the other night, the ceiling fan was on. I said, honey, can we shut the fan off? No. So I have an electric blanket with 2 controls so that if I get too cold, I can spiff it up a bit. But
tell me how much oil you use.
I call my oil company. I only use like 1,278 gallons over 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
And you used 1,001 in one year. So that's like, I'm using a third that you are. I guess it does pay to update your system. I never realized how much it does. And at today's cost of oil, let's see. So I spent $3,400 over 3 years.
Oh, I spent that
A year.
in 1 year.
In 1 year.
In 2008.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you have an old system at home, can I recommend you make a
know.
change?
It's
I
time.
never realized.
It's
And never
time.
mind the carbon footprint.
And we have steam too, which is supposed to be less efficient than forced hot water. So it's a double whammy because changing from steam to another system is a really big expense.
Well, this is interesting, folks. Man, I feel a lot better with my heating system. That's all. I'm glad you're here, Laurie.
Good, thank you. That's why I'm here, to make you feel better.
Thank you. Okay, folks. I'm here with Paul Casage. You're part of the Echo team. What did I say? Eco. All right. Okay. So, Paul, in listening to the conversations, what have you realized about your situation?
Well, I think we're doing okay, like as far as heating and electricity. But
How do you heat?
natural gas, forced air.
And what were your numbers?
For that, 681 therms, about 8,000 pounds of CO2.
How did Lisa do on the therms with the gas? 15,000 to your what?
It's 8,000.
Oh boy, I don't know. You just made Lisa feel really bad.
We got insulation put in. Yeah.
I'm from Florida.
Wait a minute, we can't. Lisa, you can't hear Lisa, but she's saying something about she's from Florida and she likes it a little warm in the house.
No, we got insulation sprayed into the space above the second floor last Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving before last, about a year ago.
And did you find it made a big difference?
Well, I didn't look back till the year before, but yeah, I mean, the house feels warmer. It feels warmer than it did. We kept the temperature the same. We didn't change the setting on the thermostat, but the house feels warmer.
Good. Okay. Anything else that stood out for you?
Yeah, we fly to Chicago. My family's from Chicago, and we go once a year, and that ends up being 10,000 pounds. That's the biggest one single amount I got.
Oh, you're going to have to quit visiting family?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
If you want to be on this team.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's one trip to Chicago, 4 people, 10,000 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was an article in the Globe today about the Acela and his competition with the airlines going to New York, the Boston-New York route. And they have like 55% of the market now, and they expect, X number of years down the road that they'll have 100% of the market. I wonder, do trains use a lot less carbon footprint than airplanes? Yeah. And Kathy over there is shaking her head, yes. So not only if you go to New York, if you take the train, you're helping the environment more than if you take the plane. So interesting. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it.
Keith, you finished your calculating your carbon footprint and how much energy your household uses.
Correct.
Do you have any surprises?
I guess one of the biggest one was the automobile travel. Our primary car is very fuel efficient. It's a Toyota Prius, and I put 18,000 miles on it. But our second car is not very fuel efficient, and only putting 10,000 miles a year, it has a higher carbon footprint than the Prius.
And obviously higher cost to operate per mile.
Correct.
Okay, which is, well, one of the things, some folks out there are interested in their carbon footprint and their sustainable activities. And in addition, there are others who don't know or care much about that, but who are very concerned about how much money they're spending on all of this energy and travel and whatnot. So it's actually a twofer here. We're learning about both ways to save our carbon footprint and also lower our carbon footprint and also save lots of money. So we're trying to figure out, okay, where can that happen? Sort of the whole reason for doing this and the expectation of anybody on the eco team. First of all, I want to congratulate everybody who's here. It's an amazing thing to have people who are as committed as this on a Sunday afternoon to sit with bills and books and figure out, okay, how are we going to make a small change, think globally and act locally, make a small change and do something. And I do have that quote by Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And that's what we're here to do. We don't want you to have to change everything you do. We don't want to dictate any changes that you make. What we want to do is help you understand what is out there as an opportunity or as an option, and let you choose what, if any, of those options might make sense for your family. So we hope that this has been helpful and instructive, and we'd love to have any of the folks out there who are watching this consider joining an eco team. You can find us at sustainablemilton.org. Yeah, sustainablemilton.org, and you'll find information about eco teams there. We would be delighted to have you join one of these eco teams and help you in any way possible understand your energy use and potentially to reduce it. Thanks again. Have a great day.